The government creates monopolies. It almost never breaks them up, but it always creates them. For the next 4 weeks, your tax dollars will be spent for the government to argue in court with Meta to break Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp into separate entities. And people love saying that Donnie's in bed with Zuckerberg now because he was at the inauguration and all that, but it appears that is not the case. Yet another example of the bureaucracy meddling in private industry and doing the wrong thing all the time. Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram are completely separate businesses. And by no stretch of the imagination do Facebook or Instagram have a monopoly over the social media market. So really what this is just a gift to the other social media players. Mainly the likes of TikTok and Snapchat and the biggest social media of all, which is YouTube. Like, it's so funny that they think that breaking this up actually solves something when a company like Google, for example, is far more of a monopoly than Meta is. The vast majority of online video content is consumed on YouTube, and any person that understands the internet or is a web developer like me knows that Google essentially is the internet. YouTube has a far bigger control over the online video consumption market and is far more monopolistic in that sense. Google Search, for example, dominates the search market and has done so for many, many years to the tune of 80-something% of all search traffic. Other companies like Apple and Google, for example, own pretty much 100% of the mobile device operating system marketplace. If you have a mobile device in the United States, it's using either the Android marketplace or the Apple marketplace. And an operating system has far more control over your life and dominates that ecosystem much more than an individual application or a social media application does. Like, if you make an application, of which Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp is, you have to download them from the Apple Store or the Android Google Play Store. So, like, if there was a monopoly, Google and Apple would clearly have far more of a monopoly than Meta has. And this is not for me to, like, sit here and defend Meta or defend Facebook or anything. But the point is that the government is using your tax dollars to take Meta to court to break up a supposed monopoly while completely ignoring all of the other things that are far more monopolistic than they are. Like Walmart, for example, controls the largest market share of the grocery industry. Is that a monopoly? Amazon controls a huge percentage of the online marketplace for products and e-commerce marketplace. Is that a monopoly? No, of course not, right? They're not coming after them. And when you have social media applications, you got Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, you have TikTok and X. Like, Instagram is a video and photo sharing app, and horizontal video, for example, doesn't usually perform as well on Instagram because it's pretty much only on mobile devices, whereas a lot of desktop users and tablet users, for example, use Facebook. So horizontal video works really well there. It's also text-based updates and the Facebook Marketplace and a variety of other things like Facebook Messenger. So they're more focused on Messenger, horizontal videos, friend connections, etc. Whereas on Instagram, you're following people that you don't know. Then you have WhatsApp, completely unrelated to either of those, primarily a messaging service of which there are many, and it isn't even the dominant messaging system in a multitude of different countries. Then you have Snapchat, which is also messaging, doesn't have like a public facing or internet like a desktop accessible, browser accessible video display, so it's primarily like only in the app. But YouTube, for example, has a massive domination over basically almost all forms of video, and all horizontal video works there the best. It has the most massive market share, is accessed by the majority of people, and just crushes in terms of consuming online video content. All this to say that the government often has the opposite effect of its stated intention, and it coming and wasting your tax dollars to argue in court for 4 weeks to potentially break up Meta does absolutely nothing to benefit anybody, as there are a multitude of different competing products that all fight for this same market share. Just yet another example of the bureaucracy almost intentionally cratering a great American company. And you don't have to like them, their history, their politics, whatever, but to suggest that Meta, for example, has some type of monopolistic control over social media is grossly inaccurate. And there are far more companies that exhibit far more monopolistic power over certain marketplaces than Meta does. And the most obvious one by far clearly is Google. But I'm not advocating that tax dollars get wasted fighting any of these companies for monopoly power because, again, the government creates monopolies, it doesn't break them up. So just yet another example of unnecessary, wasteful, bureaucratic spending, squandering your tax dollars, meddling in private industry for literally no benefit to the taxpayer, and just more wasteful garbage focusing on completely the wrong thing that benefits no one. Sick.